since the second half, really, how much they've really struggled. Charged with finding some stability from this.
Welcome back to the next episode of The Journey of a Grassroots Rugby Coach. And in today's episode, I speak with Andrew Fraser. Andrew has been the assistant coach at the Hunter Wildfire in the Shute Shield, and he's recently been appointed as the assistant coach at Bond University in the Hospital Cup in Queensland. He's also held positions as both assistant and head coach at many New South Wales country championship teams. He lives on the far north coast of New South Wales in a lovely place called Lennox Head. During our chat, we spoke about how you must be prepared as a coach, learning the skills of communication, and being ruthlessly curious. Andrew also spoke about, as a coach, we must be making an effort to make more connections by speaking with other coaches, as well as being engaged with training and having high energy in your sessions and making them as quick and as efficient as possible so that we're preparing our players for 3 o'clock on a Saturday. His advice to new coaches, or any coach, is don't let fear hold you back. Andrew is also the founder of Rugby Palooza, a 2-day coaching forum that's going to be held in Lennox Head on the New South Wales North Coast on the weekend of the 29th and the 30th of January 2022. And we spoke about that during the chat, as I'm actually really excited that I'm attending this as a learner, so I'm going to get plenty out of this. The amazing lineup of quality coaches that are attending to share their knowledge and talk about rugby is Scott Wisemantle, the Wallabies attack coach, Jay Tregowan, the Wallaroos head coach, Nick Stiles, the general manager of the Melbourne Rebels and also their scrum coach, Dan Hooper, who is the Brumbies skills coach, Sam Needs, who is the founder of Scrum Strong, and many more coaches that are still to be announced. For more details, check out their socials, Rugby Palooza on Insta and Facebook. Tickets are available through Eventbrite, and the theme for the weekend is collaboration is cool. So the aim of the weekend is just to get as many coaches together as they can and just learn and share from each other. I really took a lot out of this chat from Fraser. He's a very knowledgeable man and very generous with his time. So if you want to get out to Rugby Palooza, grab your tickets from Eventbrite, make your way to Lennox Head, and thanks, Fraser, for your time. Thank you for listening, everybody else. And as always, feel free to share this pod with whoever you think can take any snippet of information away from it. And I'm really looking forward to it. You know, I've seen the lineup you got going. I just thought, it's just going to be awesome. So
yeah. Look, we may talk about, but I'm born and bred in Canberra, so I'm back here and caught up with some of the Brumbies, the acting CEO at the moment. We spoke this afternoon. They're so supportive of it. So is Baden and the Rebels. Look, we're just really blessed to have some high caliber people turn up, and obviously people across the eastern seaboard or across Australia coming along. So we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, it's really good, mate.
He can't find it. That's a mighty shot. A mighty Mark Lester.
Mate, so welcome, Fraser. Thanks for your time this afternoon. So just for the listeners that may not know who you are, just in a nutshell, the Andrew Fraser story, who you are, where you're currently coaching, and what's your involvements with the grassroots game.
I guess Andrew Fraser, I'm basically a country rugby coach that's had a few successes of late. I began my senior coaching career in about 2006 in country New South Wales, and I've just basically been on a loop. I was a policeman for nearly 20 years, so my job took me around country New South Wales and metropolitan New South Wales, and I was able to coach. And then the last couple of years, I've exited out of the police, and last year I was with the Wildfires, or this season I was with the Wildfires, helping Scott Coleman with their first grade squad. And next year, I was at Bond a couple of years ago, but I'm returning back to Bond as the defence coach with first grade as an assistance role. So pretty excited. Look, rugby's been in my life since I was a 7-year-old, like probably many of the listeners. I'm still fortunate to call it the game I love 40 years later. So, pretty excited.
That's good, mate. So just for anyone that doesn't know, Bond is playing in is it the Hospital Cup in Queensland, and they're on the Gold Coast.
That's correct. Yep, the
Yeah.
Bond Bull Sharks.
Yeah, lovely part of the world too. Just quietly, mate. So, what got you into coaching in the first place?
Well, it's funny. I listened to some. I was in the car, as I said to you earlier, before we started. I was in the car today, just listening to a stack of different podcasts for a number of hours, and like a lot of players, kind of just transitioned from playing into coaching. Ironically, when I was at university, studying to be a primary school teacher before I joined the Cops, I was doing, like, I guess what they would call development officers roles with the Vikings club in Canberra. And we'd go around coach and referee during our lunch breaks, just trying to make $20 here or there an hour. And I used to love that. So that kind of was probably the foundations of me being a coach. But the actual progression into coaching was early 30s, country policeman, roll into town and they needed a coach. And I took the gig from there. So I didn't know what I expected, but yeah, it was a wild ride and still is.
Yeah, it is. It is a wild ride, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Mate, what's some of the biggest heartbreaks or disappointments that you've had as a coach? And the reason I ask that is because for a lot of young coaches, so like inexperienced coaches, they have a couple of setbacks early on and they just go, oh, I'm not good enough, or this is shit, and they just throw the towel in. You actually talk to people. We've all had the same experiences.
Yeah.
So I think it's good for young coaches to know that you're not going to get it right. You know,
it's funny, Bully. It's funny, Bully. I'm probably, I don't know whether I'm like other coaches or not, but I've got my notes from that first season in 2006. I've actually got all the session plans, like handwritten, lack of detail, just work on the strengths that the coach knows. I'm a forward by trade, and I just laughed at the back line. The back session was backs 10 minutes with one of the players because I really didn't know what I was doing. But I guess the heartbreak is just when you have your heart set on the beginning of the season of having success, and it just doesn't go that way. And it's a long hard slog. And I'll tie that into just some recent activity, but. Heartbreak is turn up for training on a Tuesday night when you've spent all week planning it out and only 8 blokes turn up.
Yeah. I remember when I was in WA and I was down in Albany, which is down south, about 4 hours south of Perth. Yeah. And Cole Richardson, who was the development manager at the time, came down to assess me for my level 1, and 4 guys turned up for training.
Yeah.
And I've just gone, and it was like pissing with rain. It was just horrible. Oh, sorry. There's my session plan, but we're just going to throw that out the window, mate. It was just like, I felt so, gutted and disappointed when, like you said, you can't do anything.
And those heartbreaks, like that, when you keep getting enough of them, like you can see coaches say, oh, this isn't for me. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
And like I was fortunate. I had some early success as a coach, so that kind of I got the bug. I got hooked pretty quick. Yeah. But that said, there's a lot of heartbreaks, and it's the Tuesday nights and Thursday nights when you plan something out and it doesn't go to the way you like it. And I tie that in is that last year with the Wildfires, stepping up into that Shute Shield level. Mate, it's hard. Like it's hard. It's just as hard at Shute Shield where there's guys who want to be there. And you're just not getting results go your way, and the bus trip home's a lonely old bus trip, and you wake up Sunday morning still trying to find the dog because you kicked it last night because you just hate losing. But you know what? I guess the message to junior coaches is, look, that there's ups and downs. It is a roller coaster, and you just got to go with the downs because there'll be plenty of ups that come along with it.
Yeah, no, that's some good insight, mate. Like you said, there's some pretty lonely trips home. Yeah. So if we flip that on its head, mate, what's some of the greatest moments you've had in that journey?
Yep. Well, look, I was really lucky. As I said, that first year, mate, I was at Inverell in country New South Wales. This is a team that have been in a competition for nearly 110 years and never won a grand final. They'd never played in a grand final, I should say, or won a grand final. And mate, I had a team that had been coached well for a couple of years that they just keep falling up short. So yeah, I had a year in 2006 where they won that grand final, and you know, a number of them have gone on to have successful football and work careers and their families. You know, they're all good men in their own right who have gone on to good things, and you know, to have that success to begin with, well, that's it's a hell of a rush to get in your first year. So that was always a big highlight. Look, for me, Bully, I've kind of turned it around these days. I've been able to coach in some grand final teams and win some country championships in New South Wales, but it's more just the little things now. It's just like, seeing a bloke who gets selected to do what he does, or you know, having the line out move or the defensive ploy work out the way that it was trained. Like I've kind of pared it back a little bit to my highlights. I just like the little things that go well when you've trained for it.
Yeah, and that's good. But like you said, when we all first start out, it's all about the results, because that's where the next job's coming from. And then the more you get into it, you go, the results come. But it's those all that player that, you know, you've been working so hard with him, and like you said, he gets picked in the rep team, or he actually can then do a skill that you've been working on. Yeah, those little things, and they tend to mean a lot more.
The little wins are so much better.
Yeah, and when the players remember that, like, oh, thanks, yeah, that was because you were helping me do, you know, that's good stuff as well. Yeah. Awesome, mate. What's some of the lessons you've learned during that coaching journey that you could pass on to the newer coaches that are starting out? Because we've all been overwhelmed. We've all gone, nah, that's it. I've had enough. I'm out of here. You know, we've all, you know, if you put 50 coaches in a room, they're probably going to come up with the same crap that's happened to them on their journey.
Yeah.
But when we ride it out, like I said, then it starts to become enjoyable and great. So just some lessons that you've learned along the time that you could pass on to coaches.
I think the big one, Bully, for me is that you have to prepare as a coach. Like, gone as the days when you drive to training and you've got it in your head and you're like, all right, this is what we're going to do. And then you turn up on, you know, with 5 minutes to go, and you've run out of witches' hats, and you haven't got enough gear, because you've got to plan your sessions out and prepare yourself to be there a little bit earlier and set things up. And I think, yeah, it's the classic saying, but yeah, piss poor performance, or whatever the 5 P's are. But good planning, proper planning prevents piss poor performance. If you a planner or a doer, you set yourself up for at least some success, because at least you've got everything set up. So that planning's one of it. Look, the other big one, and as you know, and this is how we've kind of developed our connection over the last couple of months, is make the effort to get out and communicate to people. Like, don't be shy. And like, I was a country coach in the middle of country New South Wales. You know, the nearest town was 100 kilometres away. I was the only coach in town who I thought I was. But you just start to learn to get on the telephone and ring other coaches, or literally get on the internet and send an email to someone. But like, you've got to learn to connect. And after a game in country football and in city football, that 30 minutes, 1 hour after the game, where you can have a beer with another coach, you can both, one bloke's won and one bloke's lost, but I bet you've still got the same ups and downs. So at least just go and connect with each other. And that's probably the two big things going forward, is plan yourself out and make an effort to connect. It will change the way that you see coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think something that's come out of this COVID lockdown and people not having games on, coaches have just been happy to jump online and talk about stuff, and just keep our brains active, because we're not actually out there doing it. So and I think as young coaches, and I know I did it, I struggled with it as well, was that reaching out to, I'm not going to talk to the first grade coach because he'll think I'm an idiot, but now it's like, like we talk about, the more we learn, the more we know we don't know.
100%.
And mate, you can go, you know, I can go. I know I can go and talk to Nick Stiles and say, mate, I've got this issue. What do you reckon?
Yeah,
you know, or I could ring you about a defensive shape and go, mate, how would you work on this? Or you know, because it's all about, we're not giving away our game plans to anyone, but we want players and coaches to be better.
I've actually look. I know that I don't know whether the Bond guys listen to this, but I've come to the point, Bully, where I'm actually happy to talk to another coach and say, look, this is the shape I'm looking at running against you. Like, what do you think? Because I want to challenge my thoughts, and I want them to be challenged as well. I just, you know, again, I was in the car for 12 hours today, so I've made phone calls and listened to podcasts, but I'm talking to other coaches the whole time about, what do you reckon about this? What do you think about that? Or what are you guys doing for this? Or what are you doing for that? Like, yeah, we have an awesome game. It's just about, and now that the COVID blanket is coming down, but let's make the most of catching up with people face to face, or being on the telephone and saying, hey, look, what are you doing at training this week? Or what's your preseason look like? So, I urge and encourage people. And like you said, you're talking to Styles, you like it, but it makes you feel good because you're escalating your brain into that realm of a great coach. It makes you feel good because you're around an awesome coach that's passing on their information. And
Yeah.
You know, I think most coaches, in fact, I know all coaches want to pass on their knowledge. And that's, you know, you just got to be, as a young coach, just be prepared to get into that space, and it will take off for you.
Yeah, and I think too, as a young coach, you're worried about being told that what you're doing is wrong. Or and like, once you actually work out how questioning works, like if I was a young coach and you're watching my session and you went, well, then why did you do that? And I just straight away, I'm defensive instead of going, well, I ran that because this is what I'm trying to achieve. And you might go, oh, okay. What if you took the 12 out and put him around this side? Or, you know, and you go, oh shit, I hadn't thought of that. Or we did that last week and the boys didn't pick it up. And but it's just that fresh set of eyes, and just a fresh, you know, all this other stuff that comes along with talking to other coaches.
I think, look, I mean, the reality is you've got to put your humility away. Like, everyone, coaching is results driven. So there's a natural ego that will come with that because you want to be successful. But I've just come to the point, look, I don't care anymore. Like, I don't care how dumb I sound. I just want to know. Like, it's the old hashtag of like ruthlessly curious, but I genuinely am. I'm just ruthlessly curious about why. Like, why are they doing that? Why is that happening?
Yeah, and also being the coach that, you know, if you come to me and ask me something, and if I don't know, I'll go, mate, I don't know, but I can tell you the guy that does know. You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
Instead of, I was listening to a guy the other day, and he said he would actually, when he was playing, he would actually ask coaches things that he knew they didn't know, just to see what their response, like, see what they, you know, and most of them just made shit up instead of just going, mate, I don't know. You know, like what I stand there and watch the backs at training, mate, and I just go, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know, but I can see a hole out between the 12 and the 13. You know, like, I don't know what you're trying to run, but I can see that. Or what about this? What's this guy doing?
100%.
You know, and
and it comes down to, Bully, like, you know, you get it, and I'm always, you're always learning it. But the skill of communication is listening. Sorry, I'll rephrase. It is actually talking, but it's actually listening.
Yeah.
And so ask a question, but turn your ears on. I'm lucky, I've got big ears, so I'm trying to listen anyway. But you know, like, ask a question and then just listen and try. And as you said, the humility, if you can just say, look, I don't know, you'll get a good answer of someone else. Yeah,
and I think too, mate, if you, like, when I'm doing some line out stuff with my men's team here, if I'm quite happy to go, I don't know, will it work? I don't know. Let's try it. No, it doesn't 100%. Work.
Yeah.
But then it also gives the players the confidence to go, mate, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
Because they already know that you've probably ran it 6 times in your head anyway, but then they're going, well, he actually he's quite happy to go, or it doesn't work. So they can come to you and go, Fraser, what you want us to do, mate? We don't have the players to do it, or it's not going to work. We don't think it's going to work because of this. And I think it just takes that barrier down too between the players and the coaches.
Yeah, definitely. No, look, all those things, the honesty, the communication, being humble, they'll take you a long way. So
and the good point there about your questioning, mate. I think, and that's the one thing I struggle with now is the silence.
Yeah.
Like you ask a question, and you know what you want. You know what you want back.
Yeah.
And if they don't answer in 2 seconds, you're blah. And then they run off and you go, well, they don't actually know anyway because I've told them, just been. And that's something I'm still working on. I know a lot of young coaches struggle with that.
I've been lucky at the moment because the Fijian Drua team are at Lennox training for the Super Rugby comp. So I've been able to watch a few sessions there. And Brad Harris, who's coaching the defence. And it's great because silence is needed because the boys all understand English. They speak English quite well, as most people will know. And Brad will ask him in English, and he uses his broken Fijian to question them. And the silence is golden because the players are a little bit nervous, but Brad's confident of where they know the answers within themselves. So again, it just comes back to questioning them the way that Brad questions them. And in fact, it's not just Brad; it's Mick and Glenn. They all question the players really well. So it's been refreshing to see. Like that's what happens at that level. I've just got to try and take that back to my level and apply it to the people that I work with. Yeah,
and that's what I like too. You watch another coach and you go, oh, geez, I didn't think of question in that way. Or they say this instead of that. And they're asking the same question that you asked. They've asked it a different way. And oh, yes. We had a guy down here and he still plays with us now.
Yeah.
Really, really intelligent guy, but he's Mexican. So he speaks English very well.
Yeah.
And it took me about 6 or 8 sessions. I kept going, do you understand? Yep. And then I went, oh. And I said to him, does that translate to you? And he went, no. And I went, bang, that's it. So now it's like, does that translate for you? And he goes, no. So then I, because I often speak gibberish and, all that type of stuff. But especially if English is not their first language, often yes is the answer that they'll give you. And it's actually no. And that was something that I learned really quick.
I coached an Argentinian kid a couple of years ago, and we soon realised that he didn't understand English. But, mate, you take your phone to training and you just use Google Translate.
Yep.
And that's what we were doing. We were typing it in, bang, do you understand this? And then he'd read it, and then, he would see it written in Spanish there for him. So, there's tools available to us. But, again, it's checking for understanding as well. Like, we think just because we say it, the coaches, mate, if I say it, you kids must understand it. But the reality is, and mate, great pickup is that our game's played by people of many cultures and many backgrounds. Mate, I guess in Melbourne predominantly, where there's a large cultural integration. So you've got to check for that understanding the whole time. And as you know, some people, English is not their second language. So that's a good skill for coaches to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I like about down here, just getting that understanding. And the other one I found too is having the players understand why you question. Because sometimes, and I've said it to the girls with the Super W stuff, I said, sometimes I'll ask you a question.
Yeah.
Like, why did you do that? But you did it right. But I want you to go, because I saw this, or I'm not challenging you. I'm not judging you. I'm just asking
helping
you to. So I know it wasn't if you go, oh, I don't know, then I can work. But if you go, well, I did that because, I saw that the outside shoulder was weak or whatever.
Yeah.
Cool. I know you actually understand why you did it and it wasn't a fluke.
Brilliant.
And they went, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So that, but it took them a little bit to get used to. I'm not always challenging you with a question.
Yeah.
And that's that clarification thing too, like just making sure that they're understanding what's going on. So
I know it's backtracking a bit, but I actually have one experience that is golden for my coaching career.
Yeah.
And my second year of coaching country rugby, we won the grand final the year before, so a lot of people came back to the rugby club, and this bloke turned up, and he was an absolute behemoth, like 6'2", thick set. Anyway, he came in with his dad, and his dad looked considerably older, and his dad comes over to me and he goes, "Oh, are you the coach?" I said, "Yep." He said, "Well, this is my son, Paul. He's a weightlifter. He's from Tasmania." I said, "Oh, wow, look at the size of him." And he was, sizable young bloke. And then he said, Paul's totally deaf as well. So do you think you can help him out?" And mate, over the space of that year and the next 2 years, he ended up playing country rugby for the zone, and he played for the Australian deaf team.
Yeah.
He played in a grand final for Inverell as well. And I think he won a grand final with Inverell, but that was, I didn't teach him the game in the space of 1 year, but just to see him progress and develop, that's certainly, one of my proudest things, just to see what we did for Paul in the space of a short period of time. And then his longevity in the game, he's had success and won premierships and made a lot of friends. It opened his social circle right up, changed his life.
Yeah, and that's one thing we often forget that we do as coaches is, especially for the young people, is just expand their circles and turn them into good humans. So that would have been a good challenge too in that communication role.
Mate, he was a loose head prop bully.
Oh, it can't be too bad then. Well, he'd have to be if he was a weightlifter, mate. He's just Scrummaging's just squatting on a different plane.
That's what he would do. But we had to educate the referees. So, mate, he literally, this is crouch, bind, pack, set back 2000, mid 2000s.
Yeah.
So he just had to go off the hand signals of the referee.
Yeah.
But he could read the body cues of the way that the other prop was about to engage.
Yeah.
And mate, he may lose the hit, but because he was strong enough, he could readjust. And then, mate, he just worked his left shoulder. Look, he'd get his torso nice and square. And, over a couple of years' time, there's some footage of him just dominating people. So, anyway, it was a nice story.
No, that's awesome, mate. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
So you've said you've did a bit of stuff up through Inverell, and I know that area pretty well. And you're at Lennox Head now.
Yes.
How do you keep training enjoyable when there's, Inverell, it's cold in the winter, or Lennox Head, like this time of year, like there's other things that these players would rather be doing. Come to rugby training. So what do you do to make your training enjoyable so that those players don't go, you know what, I'm going for a surf, couldn't be bothered going to training, or it's too cold outside, it's raining, I'm going to stay inside, I don't want to listen to Fraser jabber on tonight, I'm just going to stay home.
Look, that's the big challenge is to make your sessions, obviously. Yeah, you got to read your group, which is a big thing. And let's say it's Inverell on a Tuesday night when it's -6. We're not going to be training forever, so you adjust your time that you're going to train, and you're just trying to make it as quick and as efficient as possible. So things like transitions between drills and skills and games, I think that's a big one that coaches probably haven't or probably not taught about. But like if you can transition from your warm up to your skills toward game, or just make your transitions nice and quick, all of a sudden you're getting through a volume of work that doesn't take 65, 70 minutes. You can condense a session into 45 minutes. For people who will know me, like I'm all about high energy. So I literally get there. It's a cyclone that's going to happen. So let's just get it in there. Plenty of energy. I love plenty of hugs and high fives and bum taps. And we celebrate the good things. And then you've got to recognise if the session's going pear-shaped pretty quick, then you make a decision, just maybe it's probably best just to wrap it up and save it for another night.
Yeah. No, and that's some good insight, mate, because I know, there's a lot of young coaches out there and they go, no, got my session plan. I've got to stick to my session plan. One more. You just going, mate, they've dropped the ball 5 times. One more ain't going to change it. Yeah. And you see a lot of the younger coaches. No, this is what my session plan says. This is what I've got to do. And yeah, like you said, it's just
the big one. The big one, Bully, and I've been very lucky. I've had a father figure in my life, a coach, Chris Hickey, who's been in my life for nearly 30 years. And I coached with him recently when I was up at Ballina before I progressed. And he said, Fraser, you can have the best Tuesday and Thursday nights all you want, but guess what? It's all about 3 o'clock on Saturday. And you're shaking your head because that's what it's about. It's about getting them ready for the rectangle at whatever time the whistle goes.
Yeah.
So you can have the greatest Tuesday and Thursday night, but the reality is you become a man or person manager or, just a human resource manager for these people to get them to the rectangle for when the whistle kicks off and just try and do the best game plan that you've prepared for the rest of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's good, mate. Yeah, like you said, sometimes you just pull the pin and just go, guys, this is just that's it, done. We're finished. This is not achieving. This is actually taking us backwards. Let's just call it a night, and we'll come back Thursday. And a couple of times I've done that. They come in Thursday, mate, and they're on fire.
Yes,
you know what I mean. Like, and I said, like with the Super W girls this year.
Yeah.
I said to them when we do our forwards back stuff. I said, we've usually got, 30, 40 minutes to do it. I said, if you do what I want you to do in 25 minutes at high energy, you get an early mark. And they went, oh yeah, righto. First session, full of energy. I went, okay, we're done. You got 5 minutes, go and get a drink. And they went, what? I went, I told you. So now it's like full on energy all the time.
Mate, sorry. And they're the keys, Bully. Like, if you can reward them when they've done well.
Yeah.
And I mean, people will listen to this, like, they're not animals, but mate, everyone knows. It's like when the teacher gives you an early mark on a Friday afternoon, mate. The kids love it. So you just got to learn to reward good behaviour. And obviously, when something's not right, then that's a matter for the coaches to step in. But look, I'm really conscious of that going forward. Like, if things are going well, then I'll try and take it off the boil and just that's good. That's going in the right direction. And if things need work-ons, then maybe I've just got to speak to individuals rather than a team because some people are probably doing their best. So anyway, that's the juggling act of the coach.
The player management side of it, whether it's finding out whether you need a big carrot or you need a big stick.
100%.
And who responds to the arm around the shoulder, let's go and have a chat, or some players don't respond unless you go, mate, that was absolutely bullshit. You've really got to give it to them, and they respond, and then you did that to the next person, they just go, and they fall apart. So knowing your players and knowing who responds to how is key, I think.
I think I listened to a podcast the other day. Like some of the great coaches of Bennett, Langer, the cricket coach. But mate, you listen to what they do these days, mate. They invest in the players' lives because, mate, it's probably the same with the girls at that level. Like, they're actually good footballers. So you've got them. They know how to do the skill elements. It's about making sure their lives are holistic, so you can get them ready to perform at the right time. And inevitably, that means attending to some of their life balances.
Absolutely.
And I like it. I like investing in a player. I like investing in their lives because I'm a people person. I love hearing their stories. I love hearing how they've dug a trench for the day at work, or they've done someone Baz's for the quarterly or whatever it might be. But if I can get invested in their life and enjoy listening to their successes or even failures, then we've got some commonality, and it's all about trying to get them ready for Saturday. Yeah,
and I think too, building those relationships with them, it also then they can come to you and go, Fraser, I've been on the tools for 15 hours today. I had a fight with the missus before I come out. I'm a bit flat.
Yeah,
You go, yeah, mate, no problem. Like, instead of just turning up and having a shit session, they can actually go,
yeah.
you know what, I've got this, and I've got some stuff going on in the background, and you just go, yeah,
100%.
cool. You know what I mean? And then you do get the best out of them.
You do, mate. You do. And as I said, and that, I don't know, it's just part of the journey of being the coach. As I said, you said earlier, like I started my coaching journey when I was kind of the same age as the players. So you got to learn to distance that, because you're one of the boys, and next thing you're out in the drink till, when the milk should be delivered. But like that's all part of the learnings as well. But if you can be part of their lives, then it does go a long way.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice, mate. And that'll get you more kudos and more development in the team.
Yeah.
Because they know what does Dave Rennie say? They don't care what you know until they know how much you care, or something.
100%, mate. 100%.
Cool. No, that's really good, mate. Let's talk about coach development.
Yes. Yep.
Which is sort of how we hooked up.
Yeah.
So for me, and you've been around long enough, back when both you and I started coaching, we had coach education, and you'd go and you do level 1. There's your whistle. See you later. Off you go.
Yeah.
You might, especially in the country, you might not see anyone then for the next 2 years, and then you go and do the next course.
Yeah.
And you're not really developing too much, but you've got I'm a level 3, or I'm this or that, but as opposed to what we've been talking about is that development, the development piece around, I don't really care what level you are, it's what you can do.
100%.
And so what's some advice you've got for young coaches around that? And then we'll have a chat about the upcoming event you've got happening.
Mate, look, obviously you've got to do the form. You've got to do the formal coaching, because it incorporates the laws and the way that the game's played here in our country. So I always urge people to do the formal learnings, because it's relevant. And inevitably, by doing the formal learnings, you might be at a course with 10 other people who, guess what? You've just met 10 other new people who are on the same journey as you. So it's not only the beginning of your formal learning, it's the beginning of your informal learning, because you're going to develop the network. And I guess there's the formal learning, and the informal learning is about just using your networks or tapping into networks that do exist. And I don't know, am I a facilitator of networks? I don't know. I love creating networks where I want people to join. I don't care. Mate, if people listen to this podcast and want to jump on board or access my Google Drive full of all the stuff I've done for the last 10 years, then I'm happy to give that out, because you just want to keep sharing knowledge with people. And mate, I love it when people get on that Google Drive of mine. They say, did you actually use this as a session plan, or did you use this? And I was like, yeah, I did. And they laugh at it, and I laugh at it. But at least people can see, don't make those mistakes. So the informal learning for me, as a coach who's in the country or even in the metropolitan area, like you might coach a big club and you're coaching 3rd grade or 4th grade, and you might feel like you're at the bottom of the tree. Get out there and just find networks that do exist. On Facebook, there's a number of groups. Look, YouTube's always been a wonderful tutorial for us, but the reality is it's a human exercise of learning and being around other people. So my biggest suggestion on the informal learning is just get around people, or try and connect with people as best you can, and ask for resources. What's the worst thing? I look forward to, I'm lucky. Scott Wiseman, who lives around in Lennox Head. So I kind of say, hey, Wisey, could I have a copy of such and such? Like, what's the worst thing you're going to say? No, Fraser, you can't have it. Okay, well, I just asked.
Yeah, you're no worse off.
No, that's it.
And I think that, and like you said, YouTube's there, and like I get not a lot of stuff, but I watch a lot of YouTube stuff. And I think it's not an issue I have with YouTube, but you'll see an under-8s coach watch Wayne Smith run a drill, and then they run that exact drill on the Tuesday night. And you just go, mate, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I saw this on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell that because they're, that they don't have the skills, or, you can still get that drill and go, oh, that's the end result. How do I make that fit my group of players? And that's sort of the only issue I have with YouTube, is that it's a lot of good resources, but it's not like we were talking about before. I can watch you run a session and I go, oh, that's a really good drill. And I say to you, what did you want to achieve out of that?
Yeah.
How can I progress it? Or if I don't have a 12 that can do that, what do you reckon would be the next? You don't have that conversation with that person. And but yeah, like you said, and even like, going and watching the under-8s coach.
100%.
Because he'll do stuff with the kids and you just go, that's really cool. That's a good activation game I can use next. A big, we do it even with the Super W girls. We call them vibe games or pump up games, just the old cone games and stuff like that, just to bring the energy up. And go, oh, that's a really cool under-8s drill. I can use that to just get my boys up and do that. Or watch how he herds the cats and go, oh yeah, that's really good group management.
Yeah.
So you're always you're gonna learn something from. I spoke to a guy the other day, and he goes, if you speak to 100 coaches and get one thing from each coach, you've got 100 new things. And I went, man, that's so true. That is so true. And it might even be, I don't actually agree with that, but I've still got something out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, that's never going to work with my team, but how can I adapt it, or can I just put it away in my filing cabinet for down the track?
100%.
Yeah, no, I like it.
I'm a big notebook taker, so I've got notebooks in my library that I've had for the last nearly 12 years. So just full of scribbles of everything I go to, and at the end of each year, I go through them. I just reread them, even though they're 10 years old or 12 years old, but I just still reread them just to pick up something that I may have seen years ago, or I remember there's something I learned a couple of years ago. But look, at the end of the day, and mate, you hit the nail on the head. Look, the internet is a wonderful beast, but it's a beast because some of it doesn't apply to the people that you're coaching. So yeah, I totally subscribe to what you said there. Is that you'll go and watch Wayne Smith do a drill, but it's not relevant for the under-7s at the moment. But that's just part of the learning processes as well.
Yeah, but you can look at it and you go, well, they're the trigger words that he's using.
100%.
So I can incorporate that.
Yeah.
And all that type of stuff. So
yeah. Oh, look, mate. I guess there was only one thing that just flew into my mind then, and it's kind of been a phrase humming in my head at the moment. Like, mate, you can't soar like an eagle if you're going to hang around the turkeys. And so if you're prepared to make the effort, then stop hanging around people that might be polluting your mind, and try and elevate yourself or bring yourself out of that circle. And as I said, you just keep making the inquiries and ask coaches or go to sessions. You made a good example there about watching the under-7s or under-8s warm up, but mate, you can watch it. You drop your kids at school and you watch just the way the teachers corral the kids in the morning. Like there's little bits of gold out there everywhere, the way that teachers and people manage people. Anyway, there's things out there for all of us.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. That's it. And just looking and observing and asking questions.
Definitely.
And there's no such thing as a dumb question to another coach, because I guarantee if you ask it, they've probably thought about it, 3 or 4 years prior, and they've probably asked that same question to the person they were talking to.
I'm pretty lucky. I was lucky, bully, and mate, I coached with Bubba. I've coached with Bubba a couple of times over my career, and last year with the Wildfires. And look, he'll say he's not the smartest man, but you know what? Like he's just brutally honest in asking his questions because he's just curious. Like it might sound like it's a dumb question because that's just the way he comes across sometimes, but it's actually a really good question. So look, as you said, there's no such thing as a dumb question. Just ask it.
Yeah, no, that's right. some good insight there, mate.
Right.
So Rugby Palooza, mate. What's let's put it out there. What's happening?
So look, just again from being a ruthlessly curious human being about rugby, I've always felt that there's coaches out there that just struggled to get content or felt that they couldn't get content. And then just over the last 24 months of my coaching career, like I've just keep connecting with other people and keep building on my network. And I was like, well, 12 months ago, we ran something at Lennox Head because I had a couple of contacts and Wisey was able to bring in some Wallaby coaches. And it was a really magic day, 150 coaches from Bundaberg to Cobar, down to some of the premier rugby clubs, just all in the same space, sharing and learning at the same time. So it was a really, beautiful day. And people loved it that much. They were saying, well, Fraser, you're going to do it again. So look, we've set up this company called Rugby Palooza, and we're going to start to run some events. And the next event is at Lennox Head in January, the end of January 2022, at the weekend. But we just wanted to get the best coaches in the country to come and help all the community coaches out there come and learn and start turbocharge their season for 2022.
Yeah. So who are some of the coaches you've got lined up, mate, so far?
Yeah. Well, we can confirm. So Scotty Wisemantle, the Wallabies attack coach, Nick Stiles, the general manager for the Rebels, and mate, very astute coach, as you're well aware.
Yeah.
Mate, we've been ably assisted to have Dan Hooper from the Brumbies, who's their academy and skills coach and also doing their restarts at the moment. Pom Simona, who you'd be well familiar with, with the Melbourne Rising. Such an astute coach. Again, like he's so well respected in the Melbourne community. We're really looking forward to hearing from him. Sam Needs, the Scrum Strong doctor in Australia. So Needsy will be up there to impart his knowledge on the set piece. Who else? Mate, we've been lucky. We've got a couple of guys who run a program they called the Elite Sevens program, but that's Cass Holland and Tim Atkinson. So they're astute sevens coaches who have coached high levels. Tim actually played for the Brumbies. He's been in Japan and played for Australian sevens. So they'll be giving a skill set on sevens and how it's relevant to the 15s code. And then, mate, we've been fortunate to get Mark Gasnier, who's developed a game for the code that he'll show that on the Saturday afternoon. So I hope the only guy, I forgot him, but was the coach education manager for Australia, which is Mick McGripplis, who'll also be there passing on the formal learnings and the way that coach education looks like in Rugby Australia.
Yeah, nice. No, that's a good lineup, mate. And
there's a few other surprises to come as well.
No, that's good, mate. That's good. And I think I actually sitting on my phone waiting for the tickets to go on sale. Jeff talked it up pretty good, mate. So I was straight on board, mate. I'm really looking forward to it.
Mate, $99 for a weekend worth of learning. We're really fortunate. Some monies that will be raised after the weekend will actually go. We're trying to help pay for some formal educations for country coaches in regional locations.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to get some young lads doing level 3 or level 2 qualifications in remote areas of Australia. It's all for the purpose of collaboration, and hopefully everyone gets under the tent and gets to learn some rugby stuff for the weekend.
Yeah, and I'm also looking forward to some of that stuff we talked about before. Is just chatting to other coaches.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter where you coach or if everyone's got different ideas and different theories and different ways they do things, and just chatting to different coaches around different things, and like games are played differently in different competitions, and all that type of stuff. So that, mate, I'm really looking forward to the weekend. So
we've been fortunate. There's a few regional. Well, there's quite a few regional coaches coming along, but mate, there's Premier Rugby coaches coming from the Sydney Shield competition. Excuse me, which will be great just to plug into the other minds there. And that's what it's about, Bully. It's just about coaches in the same room, sharing and learning off each other and developing a network and just creating a good patchwork, a strong quilt of coaching for Australia. It'd be fantastic.
Yeah, and I'll get all the details, mate, and I'll put them in the show notes as well. So
Thank you, mate.
Interested,
Thank you.
They can get their tickets. But it's
Yep.
just Rugby Palooza on all the socials.
That's correct.
It's pretty easy to find.
Yes,
mate, it's going to be a big weekend.
yeah.
And the end of January in that part of the world, the weather's going to be sensational too, mate. I can see a few boys going for a recovery swim.
Bully, I look forward to you, mate, having a swim and an ice cream, and then after you've hosed yourself off in the ocean there, you can come down and have a cold drink at the famous Lennox Point Hotel there.
Mate.
It augurs well. It's all the good things about rugby that we want to have, and yeah, as I said, the more that we can appeal to the community coaches across the whole Eastern Seaboard, as you said. People like yourself coming up from Melbourne, borders have opened up. It's just a great opportunity for coaches to turbocharge their 2022 season.
Yeah, no, really looking forward to it, mate. So, mate, one last question before we head off.
You're right.
What advice would you give yourself when you were a new coach, knowing what you know now? So if you could go back to that first session, that first year in Inverell, knowing what you know now, what would be some advice you'd give yourself?
Don't let fear hold you back.
Oh, love it. Love it. Yeah.
And mate, I've walked it for many years because I was just scared that I didn't think I would be good enough, or I didn't think that what I had would be good enough. But courage is a wonderful thing, and just back yourself.
Yeah, and I think too, there's a lot of, and I'm guilty of it as well, mate. You get in, you get a new coaching role, or you get something. The first session you turn up and you go, "Well, I'm not good enough for this."
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be. What am I going to do? They're going to think I'm an idiot. They're going to think I'm a fraud. It goes. I think every coach has gone through it, and like you said, just go out and just do it. Just be yourself, and just. What's the worst that's going to happen, mate?
Well,
you don't get asked back next year, and you move on to something else.
I was lucky last year to work at the Wildfires and be involved with some guys that have played international rugby. And mate, they're just as curious as the coaches.
Yeah,
that they want to learn, and once you realise that you're all there to help each other out, and you as the coach, you're the ears and eyes for them to help improve their performance. I don't know. It's just it just made it so comfortable, Bully, to know that they wanted to hear from us, and they I learned and this is a quick anecdote, but when I first started coaching, I'd been living in the city. I'd been in Sydney for a couple of years in the Cops, and we went up to the countryside. Anyway, this mate of mine who'd been coaching in Inverell, he took me up to the sale yards, and mate, look, I was the big city detective. I had stripy pants and a crappy tie on, and walked up to the sale yards, and they all laughed at me. But old mate threw me into the pen with all the cows in there, and he said, "Mate, coaching is like being in this pen of cows." And he said, "Mate, if you're nervous, the cows will dominate you because they'll feel it." And it's the same. It's that, mate. I've said that. I've given that anecdote to many people ever since, and it's true. If you're nervous around your players, they will sense it. Just back yourself and be confident, and that just comes back to your planning and preparation.
Yeah, no, I like it. Some good advice there, mate. Some good advice. Love it. All right, mate. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Bully.
Really appreciate it, mate.
Mate, look, you're doing us all a great service out there. As I said, I was in the car today. Rolling through podcasts. When you got 12 hours, I've got plenty of things to listen to. So, mate, keep doing well. It's great because you offer a content, like I said, it's unique experiences. It's not people that we've heard of before. They're just people out there who've doing their best, and they've got some invaluable information for all of us. So thanks for having us on tonight. And look, I look forward to catching up with you face to face in Lennox Head in January.
Absolutely, mate.
Thanks, legend.
Awesome. Thanks, mate.
and remove off their own ball. That is monstrous.
League held at the back by the foot of Ben Norman, kept in and England marching it on. Will they get a penalty? Still there. There is the penalty.
Dominant in the scrum. Have you ever seen a touch been obliterated like that? At this set piece.
This rate, they can march all the way to the try line. That was extraordinary. 30 metres scrum and drive wins the penalty.